Hi, I'm Dr. David Jockers, and millions of people watch my videos to learn how to burn visceral fat. But if I had just 7 days to reverse my own visceral fat, here's exactly what I'd do. First, one of the biggest drivers of visceral fat isn't just what you eat, it's how often you eat. A bagel when you wake up, a snack a couple hours later, a full lunch, a protein bar before dinner, and then a full meal on the go or before bed. For most people, food is coming in from morning until night. Every time you eat, your body flips into what scientists call the fed state. It focuses on digesting that food and storing the energy for later. But your body has a second mode that's just as important. It's the repair state. That's when it stops storing energy and starts burning stored fuel instead. However, your body can't do both at once. When food is coming in, it prioritizes storage. Only when food stops for a while can it switch over to burning and repair. You see, most people eat so often that they spend nearly the whole day in the fed state and rarely give their body a long enough break to switch into repair. That's why the first step I would take is to stop feeding insulin all day. Most people think insulin's only job is to lower blood sugar, but insulin is also a storage hormone. And when it's up, it's telling your body that energy is available and there's no need to burn fat. So when you eat all day and insulin rarely drops, your body keeps hearing the same message. Don't touch the stored fuel. More's on the way. And as long as that signal is running, burning visceral fat gets a lot harder. So for the next 7 days, I'd eat all my meals within a 6 to 10 hour window and leave a 14 to 18 hour overnight fast. Just 2 to 3 meals in that 6 to 10 hour window and no snacks. Every hour without food is a chance for insulin to fall and for your body to spend more time in that repair state. And as insulin settles and your body regains access to stored energy, a lot of people notice they stop thinking about food every couple of hours. That's a sign your metabolism is becoming more flexible. And that flexibility is one of the fastest ways to start shrinking visceral fat. And that brings us to the second thing I do, which is eat more protein. You see, what most people don't know is that visceral fat behaves almost like an organ. It releases chemical signals that talk to your brain and your immune system. And some of those signals affect your appetite. The key player here is a hormone called leptin. Leptin is your I'm full signal. When it's working properly, hunger naturally goes down. The problem is that visceral fat produces inflammatory compounds, and over time, those can interfere with leptin's signal. So your brain stops hearing it clearly. Scientists call this leptin resistance. When that happens, your brain acts like you're running low on energy even when you're not. You could be carrying 20, 30, even 50 pounds of stored fuel around your waist, and your brain is still telling you to eat. It's like having a fully stocked fridge, but you're convinced that you're out of food. But it also feeds on itself. The more visceral fat you carry, the more inflammatory signals it sends. This makes leptin harder to regulate, which makes you hungrier. It's a vicious cycle. So if I wanted to reverse visceral fat fast, I wouldn't just eat less. I'd focus on getting hunger under control. And one of the fastest ways to do that is protein. Eat 30 to 50 or more grams of high quality protein from grass-fed meat, eggs, chicken, turkey, wild-caught seafood, or unsweetened Greek yogurt or cottage cheese at every meal. Protein has the strongest effect on fullness of any macronutrient. It steadies blood sugar and sends a much stronger I'm full signal to the brain. I'd also start every meal with protein before eating any carbs. Eating protein first before carbs lowers the glycemic impact and insulin release from the meal and stabilizes hunger and cravings so you eat less. It's a simple habit that improves blood sugar control and makes it easier for your body to tap into stored fat. Because once hunger is under control, everything else gets easier, and that's exactly what we want during this 7-day reset. But even when you're eating well and getting enough protein, blood sugar can still spike after a meal, and every spike forces your body to release insulin to bring it back down. And remember, insulin is the hormone that tells your body to store energy, store fat, instead of burning it. So the next thing I'd focus on is lowering those after-meal insulin spikes. And one of the simplest ways to do that has nothing to do with what you eat. It's what you do right after. This is where I would start with taking a 10-minute walk after every single meal. You see, most people think walking helps with fat loss because it burns calories, but that's actually not the biggest benefit. The real benefit is what happens to glucose and insulin after you eat. When you walk, your muscles immediately begin pulling glucose out of the bloodstream and using it for energy. What's remarkable is that muscle contractions can do this even when insulin levels are low, because your muscles are giant glucose sponges. The more you use them after a meal, the more glucose they can absorb before it gets stored away. And as a result, your body doesn't need to release as much insulin to manage the same meal. Over time, that creates a metabolic environment that's much better for burning visceral fat. This is one reason why a short walk after eating often outperforms a much longer walk taken at a random time during the day. You're targeting the exact window when blood sugar and insulin are rising. So for the next 7 days, I would take a 10-minute walk after every meal. This is non-negotiable. This will tell my body to use that incoming fuel more efficiently. It's one of the simplest habits in this entire reset, but it can produce some of the fastest improvements to your body. Now let's put everything together into a simple 7-day plan. Here's exactly how I do it. On day 1, I'd remove every source of liquid sugar from my diet. I'm talking about things like soda, sweet tea, energy drinks, fruit juice, and sugary coffee drinks. Liquid calories are among the fastest ways to spike blood sugar and insulin because they enter the bloodstream quickly. By removing them immediately, you create an instant reduction in the hormonal signals that promote fat storage. On day 2, I'd create a 14 to 16 hour fasting window. It might be from, let's say, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., for example. And I would eat in that window, and I would stop eating after dinner, and I would wait at least 14, if not 16 hours before my first meal the next day. This gives insulin time to fall and allows the body to spend more time in the repair state rather than the fed state. Now, don't worry about being perfect. The goal is simply to create a daily period where your body can begin accessing stored energy. On day 3, I would focus on improving blood sugar control. After breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I would take a simple 10-minute walk. This helps muscles absorb glucose before it can be stored and reduces the amount of insulin needed to manage each meal. On day 4, I would make sure every meal contains a significant amount of protein. I would aim for 30 to 40 grams at breakfast and include a high-quality protein source with every meal throughout the day. Now, from day 5 onwards, things get interesting. That's when I'll make sure to get morning sunlight for at least 10 minutes. That's because sunlight helps set your circadian rhythm, which directly affects cortisol, insulin sensitivity, and metabolic health. Just 5 to 10 minutes of natural sunlight early in the day helps synchronize the body's internal clock and improves the hormonal signals involved in fat burning. And then on day 6, I'll fix my eating habits. You see, eating too close to bedtime can interfere with blood sugar control and keep insulin elevated during a time when the body should be focused on recovery and repair. By creating a few hours between dinner and sleep, you give your body more time to process food before entering its overnight repair cycle. And on day 7, I'm going to put all those habits together. None of these habits are extreme on their own, but together they create a powerful shift in the way your body either stores or burns visceral fat. And that's how you melt visceral fat in 7 days. Of course, you won't eliminate all your visceral fat in those 7 days, but you can absolutely begin moving your body in the right direction and set the stage for long-term fat loss. Now it's time for frequently asked questions about visceral fat. Question number 1, which method should I start with if I can only do one thing? Well, if I can only do one strategy from this entire video, I would start with the fasting window because it directly addresses one of the biggest drivers of visceral fat, which is chronically elevated insulin. Creating a consistent 14 to 16 hour fasting window gives your body time to lower insulin and enter the repair state. Once this habit is in place, the other strategies become much easier to implement. Question number 2. How quickly can I start losing visceral fat? Well, visceral fat is often more metabolically active than the fat you can pinch under your skin, which means it tends to respond relatively quickly to the right changes. That said, the goal of this 7-day reset, it's not to eliminate visceral fat in a week. The goal is to improve the hormonal and metabolic environment that allows visceral fat to shrink. Once you change the environment, the visceral fat will start to be used for energy, and over time, you're going to start to reduce it. Many people notice fewer cravings and improved blood sugar control within the first week. The actual reduction in visceral fat typically happens over the following weeks as these habits become consistent. Now, question number 3. How do I know if I'm losing visceral fat and not just water weight? That's a great question, and one of the first signs is often a reduction in waist circumference. You may also notice that your clothes fit differently around your midsection, even before the scale changes significantly. Other positive signs include fewer cravings, more stable energy throughout the day, better sleep, and feeling less hungry between meals. Remember, visceral fat sits deep around the organs, so you can't just judge progress by the mirror alone. Improvements in metabolic health often show up before dramatic changes in body weight. You see, your body is designed to burn visceral fat, but it only happens when insulin stays low long enough. These steps will do that on their own, but if you want to make the process easier and more consistent, I made a formula called Insulin Manager, which my patients and I use. It's designed to support healthy blood sugar and help keep insulin under control, especially during your eating window. You'll find it linked below. I'll also have my 7-day fat burning quick start guide in the description below so you can access that as well. And if you haven't already, subscribe, drop a comment below telling me which method you're starting with, and share this with someone whose fasting isn't giving them the results they expected. As always, be blessed.
Let's dive into how your go-to healthy seafood dinner could actually be aging your brain. You might think you're eating well, but some fish hide invisible, highly inflammatory dangers. Shockingly, eating the wrong fish just twice a week spikes stroke and memory loss risk by 80%. So what should we skip? Let's count down the 4 worst fish to avoid. Number 4 is imported catfish. It's often packed with antibiotics, carcinogens, and heavy metals from polluted waters. Number 3 is tuna. As a top predator, it hoards brain-damaging mercury, massively increasing your cognitive decline risk. Coming in second is king mackerel. Its severe mercury levels can literally attack your nervous system. And number 1, farmed tilapia. It's often raised in filthy conditions and fed a highly inflammatory diet. Tilapia's terrifying omega ratio is basically like pouring gasoline on the fires of arthritis and aging. Thankfully, we can ditch those toxins for powerful, brain-healing nutrients just by swapping our seafood choices. Let's flip it. Here are the 4 absolute best fish to protect your joints, heart, and memory. Number 4 is wild-caught Pacific cod. It's a clean, mild fish that defends against age-related muscle loss. This powerhouse delivers a massive 40 grams of complete protein for under 200 calories. Number 3, sardines. Sitting safely at the bottom of the food chain, they have virtually zero mercury. Plus, just one tiny can gives you 40% of your daily bone-strengthening vitamin D. Second place is wild-caught Alaskan salmon. It's the ultimate brain food, packed with omega-3s, preserving brain volume. Its pink astaxanthin acts as cellular armor, stopping the oxidative stress that literally rusts your body. Number 1 is rainbow trout. It offers the safest, most tightly regulated freshwater nutrition available today. Delivering 1,000 milligrams of omega-3s and potassium for blood pressure, it's an absolute superfood. The choice is yours. Cut out the toxic fish and start feeding your body true preventative medicine. So, which of these healing fish will you grab this week to ensure your sharpest years ahead? Let's dive into how your go-to healthy seafood dinner could actually be aging your brain. You might think you're eating well, but some fish hide invisible, highly inflammatory dangers. Shockingly, eating the wrong fish just twice a week spikes stroke and memory loss risk by 80%. So what should we skip? Let's count down the 4 worst fish to avoid. Number 4 is imported catfish. It's often packed with antibiotics, carcinogens, and heavy metals from polluted waters. Number 3 is tuna. As a top predator, it hoards brain-damaging mercury, massively increasing your cognitive decline risk. Coming in second is king mackerel. Its severe mercury levels can literally attack your nervous system. And number 1, farmed tilapia. It's often raised in filthy conditions and fed a highly inflammatory diet. Tilapia's terrifying omega ratio is basically like pouring gasoline on the fires of arthritis and aging. Thankfully, we can ditch those toxins for powerful, brain-healing nutrients just by swapping our seafood choices. Let's flip it. Here are the 4 absolute best fish to protect your joints, heart, and memory. Number 4 is wild-caught Pacific cod. It's a clean, mild fish that defends against age-related muscle loss. This powerhouse delivers a massive 40 grams of complete protein for under 200 calories. Number 3, sardines. Sitting safely at the bottom of the food chain, they have virtually zero mercury. Plus, just one tiny can gives you 40% of your daily bone-strengthening vitamin D. Second place is wild-caught Alaskan salmon. It's the ultimate brain food, packed with omega-3s, preserving brain volume. Its pink astaxanthin acts as cellular armor, stopping the oxidative stress that literally rusts your body. Number 1 is rainbow trout. It offers the safest, most tightly regulated freshwater nutrition available today. Delivering 1,000 milligrams of omega-3s and potassium for blood pressure, it's an absolute superfood. The choice is yours. Cut out the toxic fish and start feeding your body true preventative medicine. So, which of these healing fish will you grab this week to ensure your sharpest years ahead?